Join me as I dive into the 9 things that can make someone totally obsessed with you, and I'm going to put them to the test. Have you ever wondered what makes someone utterly captivated by you? It's more than just looks or charm. There are deeper, more powerful forces at play. Believe me, these principles go beyond surface-level attraction. They strike at the core of what draws people in, creating a lasting impact. Before we delve in, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. And now let's get started. As I began applying Stoic principles to my own life, I noticed an undeniable shift. People started to gravitate towards me, not because of what I said or did, but because of how I carried myself. I wasn't chasing attention anymore. Instead, I became someone who others wanted to be around. That's the power of Stoic attraction. Quiet, confident, and deeply magnetic. Let's embark on this journey together. For the first thing, let's start with something that may sound familiar: emotional resilience. Now, I know that in today's world, we talk about resilience all the time. But what does it really mean in the context of Stoicism? And how does it make someone drawn to you? For me, emotional resilience wasn't something I naturally possessed. There was a time when every little thing would shake me. If someone ignored me, I'd spiral into overthinking. If I faced a setback, I'd question everything. My abilities, my decisions, my worth. It felt like the ground beneath me was always unstable. But here's what Stoicism taught me. The stability we seek doesn't come from the outside. It comes from within. I started reading more deeply into the Stoic teachings, and one quote from Epictetus struck me. "We suffer not from the events in our lives, but from our judgments about them." That was a turning point. Suddenly, I realized that the emotional turmoil I was feeling wasn't because of the external events, but because of how I chose to react to them. Emotional resilience isn't about suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine. It's about being able to navigate the storm without letting it consume you. When people see that kind of calm strength in you, it's magnetic. There's something profoundly attractive about someone who can face life's challenges with grace. It makes others feel safe around you, like no matter what happens, you'll stand strong. And believe me, that's rare. I started practicing this. Instead of reacting immediately to things that upset me, I paused. I gave myself time to think, to process. And in that space, I found that I could handle much more than I'd given myself credit for. That resilience, quiet, unshaken, always grounded, started drawing people in. They didn't know why they were drawn to me, but I did. It was the emotional stability that Stoicism had given me. So, if you're wondering how to become someone that others can't help but be captivated by, start here. Work on your emotional resilience. Be the person who remains composed, even when everything around you seems chaotic. People will sense that strength, and they'll be drawn to it like a moth to a flame. For the second thing, let's talk about something that surprised me when I first started practicing Stoicism: confidence in silence. We live in a world that values constant communication. There's this unspoken pressure to always be talking, always sharing, always making noise. But what I learned through Stoicism is that silence can be one of the most powerful tools you possess. There was a time when silence made me uncomfortable. I felt like if I wasn't filling the space with words, I was failing to connect. I thought silence meant something was wrong, that I had to be doing more, saying more. But the more I studied the Stoics, the more I realized that silence is not a weakness. In fact, it's the ultimate display of confidence. The Stoic philosopher Zeno of Citium once said, "Better to trip with the feet than with the tongue." This wisdom stuck with me. It made me realize that silence is a choice, a deliberate decision to withhold words that don't need to be spoken. And in that silence, there's power. I started experimenting with this in my own life. Instead of rushing to fill every gap in conversation, I learned to embrace the pauses. I let the silence settle, knowing that I didn't need to fill it to prove my worth. And something incredible happened. People started paying more attention to the words I did choose to say. When you speak less, your words carry more weight. People lean in, they listen more closely because they know that when you speak, it matters. There's an undeniable allure in someone who doesn't feel the need to constantly explain themselves. Someone who is at peace with silence. That confidence, that calm, is something people rarely encounter in today's world. And when they do, they become fascinated by it. They start wondering what's going on behind the quiet exterior. They start chasing the words you aren't saying. This is the power of confidence in silence. It's not about holding back. It's about knowing when to speak and when to remain quiet. And when you master this, you'll notice how people start to gravitate toward you, drawn in by the mystery of what you choose not to say. The third thing that will make people obsessed with you is something that seems so simple, yet is often overlooked: genuine curiosity. You see, most people think that to be interesting, they need to talk about themselves, about their achievements, their thoughts, their opinions. But the truth is, the most interesting people are the ones who are genuinely curious about others. I didn't always understand this. I used to believe that the way to capture someone's attention was to impress them, to showcase my knowledge or experiences. But then I noticed something. When I stopped trying to be impressive and started asking thoughtful questions, the dynamic shifted. People became more engaged, more connected. They started opening up to me in ways they never had before. Seneca once wrote, "It is the power of the mind to be unconquerable." And I realized that one of the most powerful ways to connect with others is through curiosity, by showing that you truly care about what they have to say. Not in a superficial way, but in a way that makes them feel seen and understood. When you approach conversations with genuine curiosity, something magical happens. People start to feel valued in your presence. They feel like they matter, like their thoughts and feelings are important. And that creates a bond, a connection that goes deeper than surface-level attraction. I began practicing this more intentionally. Instead of focusing on what I was going to say next, I started really listening to the people around me. I asked them about their passions, their fears, their dreams. I didn't just nod and wait for my turn to speak. I truly listened, and I could see the difference it made. People lit up when they talked to me, not because of anything I said, but because of the space I created for them to be themselves. This genuine curiosity is something that people remember. Long after the conversation is over, they'll think back to the way you made them feel, valued, understood, important. And that's something they won't be able to forget. That's what keeps them coming back, drawn to you in a way they can't quite explain. So, if you want to leave a lasting impression, if you want people to be captivated by you, start by showing genuine curiosity. Be the person who asks the right questions, who listens more than they speak, and who makes others feel seen in a world that's always trying to look away. Now we dive into thing number 4, ambition and drive. There's something about ambition and drive that naturally pulls people in. It's not just about having big dreams or lofty goals. It's about that quiet, steady determination that shows you're always moving forward, no matter what life throws at you. In my journey with Stoicism, I came to understand that true ambition isn't loud or showy. It's a quiet fire that burns from within. For a long time, I thought ambition meant constantly talking about my goals, making sure everyone knew how hard I was working. But then I encountered a less-known quote from Marcus Aurelius, who said, "Ambition means tying your well-being to what other people say or do. Sanity means tying it to your own actions." That hit me like a ton of bricks. My ambition shouldn't be about external validation, but about aligning my actions with my own values and purpose. Once I embraced that mindset, everything changed. I stopped chasing after recognition and approval and started focusing purely on my own journey. And do you know what happened? People started noticing. They could see the drive in me even though I wasn't broadcasting it. They could sense that I was working towards something, and that energy of moving forward with purpose was magnetic. People are drawn to those who have a sense of direction, who wake up every day with a sense of purpose. Ambition rooted in Stoic principles is steady, unwavering, and free from the need for constant validation. When you show that kind of drive, it inspires others. They see you not as someone running after approval, but as someone who knows exactly where they're going. So, if you want people to become obsessed with you, don't focus on impressing them with flashy accomplishments. Instead, cultivate that quiet ambition that keeps you moving forward, no matter what. It's the kind of ambition that isn't rattled by setbacks or failures because it's rooted in something deeper, your own personal growth and development. And when people see that, they can't help but be drawn to you. Now, let's talk about thing number 5, something you might not expect in a discussion about Stoicism: humor. Yes, a strong sense of humor can be one of the most attractive qualities you possess. But here's the thing: Stoic humor isn't about cracking jokes or trying to be the life of the party. It's a deeper, more subtle form of humor that comes from understanding the absurdity of life's little dramas. The Stoics believed in accepting the things we cannot control, and part of that acceptance is being able to laugh at the situations we find ourselves in. One of the lesser-known Stoic philosophers, Musonius Rufus, said, "The greater part of our happiness or misery depends upon our dispositions, and not upon our circumstances." When you adopt this mindset, you realize that many of the things we stress about aren't worth taking too seriously. And that's where humor comes in. I used to take everything so seriously, every setback, every awkward moment. But when I started embracing Stoic philosophy, I learned to laugh at myself, to find humor in life's inevitable twists and turns. And something fascinating happened. People started to notice. They were drawn to the fact that I didn't get easily flustered, that I could shrug off life's little annoyances with a smile. Having a strong sense of humor, especially in the face of adversity, makes you stand out. People love being around those who can lighten the mood, who don't take everything so seriously. And this kind of humor doesn't come from trying to entertain others. It comes from a place of inner calm and acceptance. When you can laugh at yourself, when you can find lightness in heavy moments, people will be drawn to that energy. It shows that you have a deep sense of perspective, that you're not easily rattled by life's ups and downs. And in a world that often feels chaotic and overwhelming, that kind of lightness is irresistible. Thing number 6 is stability and dependability, qualities that seem almost underrated these days, but ones that are absolutely essential if you want to leave a lasting impact on others. There's a quiet strength in being someone others can rely on, and it's a core principle in Stoicism. The Stoic way of life is built on consistency. It's about showing up day after day, not just when things are easy, but when they're hard. And that's what makes you dependable. Seneca wrote, "It is not because things are difficult that we do not dare, but because we do not dare, things are difficult." This quote made me realize that true stability comes from facing challenges head-on, from daring to be steady in an unsteady world. People are naturally drawn to those they can count on. When you're the person who keeps their word, who follows through, who remains grounded even when life gets tough, it creates a deep sense of trust. And trust, once established, is one of the most powerful forces of attraction. I used to think that being exciting or unpredictable was the way to keep people's attention. But as I embraced Stoicism, I began to understand that stability is far more attractive. People want to be around those who are consistent, who won't let them down when things get hard. When you're that person, when you bring stability into the lives of others, they will be drawn to you, not because of any grand gestures, but because of your quiet, steady presence. In my own life, this shift toward dependability was transformative. I stopped flaking on plans, stopped making promises I couldn't keep, and focused on being someone others could rely on. And as a result, the people in my life started to trust me more, to seek me out for advice, for support. Stability isn't flashy, but it's incredibly powerful. It builds a foundation of trust that keeps people coming back. Let's talk about passion and enthusiasm. This is something that goes far beyond just being excited about something. True passion is magnetic. It's contagious. When you're passionate about something, it lights up every conversation you have. And when people see that kind of fire in you, they can't help but be drawn to it. I remember when I first started to truly understand this. For a long time, I thought that to be interesting to others, I had to be well-rounded, to know a little bit about everything. But I found that the more I tried to spread my energy thin, the less impactful I became. My conversations felt scattered, and I wasn't really engaging people. That's when I came across a quote by the lesser-known Stoic philosopher Hierocles, who said, "One ought to pursue everything with moderation except for virtue, which we should pursue with passion." This made me realize that passion, when focused on something meaningful, creates a kind of intensity that captivates others. When you find what lights you up, when you fully immerse yourself in something that brings you joy or meaning, people notice. It's not just about having hobbies or interests. It's about pursuing those interests with a kind of enthusiasm that's rare to find. Passion is like a flame, and when you let it burn brightly, others will be drawn to its warmth. I started to channel this idea in my life. Instead of trying to be interested in everything, I leaned into the things that truly mattered to me. And something amazing happened. People started to connect with me on a deeper level. They weren't just listening to what I said, they were feeling the energy behind it. That's the power of passion. When it's genuine, it resonates with others. They become intrigued by the intensity of your love for what you do, and in many ways, it becomes contagious. So, don't be afraid to show your enthusiasm. Be passionate about the things that matter to you. Let that energy spill into your interactions and watch as people become obsessed, not just with what you're talking about, but with the way you talk about it. Now, let's dive into something a little more elusive: mystery and independence. There's something deeply compelling about someone who doesn't reveal everything about themselves all at once. When you hold a sense of mystery, you leave people wanting more, intrigued by what they don't yet know. And this is where Stoicism comes in beautifully. One of the core teachings of Stoicism is to be self-sufficient, to be so rooted in your own values and your own path that you don't need to broadcast everything to the world. Epictetus once said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." And one of the things that lies beyond our control is how others perceive us. When we stop caring about revealing everything, we create a sense of mystery. I learned this the hard way. I used to think that being open and transparent all the time was the best way to connect with others. But what I realized is that by constantly sharing every detail of my life, I was actually giving away the power of mystery. There's a certain allure in holding back just a little, not in a deceptive way, but in a way that makes people curious about the depths they haven't yet seen. The other side of this is independence. People are naturally drawn to those who are self-reliant, who don't need constant attention or validation. When you have your own thing going on, your own interests, your own time, your own sense of direction, it creates a kind of magnetism. You become someone who others want to be around, but not because you're dependent on their presence. I began to notice that when I held back a bit, when I didn't reveal every single thing about myself right away, people became more intrigued. They started asking more questions, they wanted to learn more, to dig deeper. That sense of mystery created a pull, something they couldn't easily walk away from. It's a fine balance, but when you cultivate a sense of independence and mystery, you create space for others to become fascinated with who you are. Finally, let's talk about something that's often overlooked: physical presence and charisma. Now, I'm not talking about traditional beauty or looks. What I'm talking about is how you carry yourself, the energy you bring into a room. Physical presence isn't just about how you look, but how you make others feel when they're around you. I'll never forget something I read from the Stoic philosopher Musonius Rufus, who said, "It is not living that matters, but living rightly." This idea applies to our presence as well. It's not about being physically perfect or attractive, but about living in a way that commands respect, attention, and admiration. That's true charisma. For me, this was a game changer. I used to think charisma was something you either had or didn't, but Stoicism taught me that charisma is built, not born. It's about aligning your actions with your values, walking into a room with purpose, and carrying yourself with dignity. When you do that, people notice. They might not be able to put their finger on it, but they feel the energy shift when you're present. I started to pay more attention to how I moved through the world. It wasn't about trying to look a certain way, but about embodying a certain energy. When you walk with purpose, when you stand tall, when you make eye contact with confidence, it changes how people respond to you. You don't need to be the loudest or the most talkative in the room to have an impact. Your very presence, when rooted in your own inner strength, becomes magnetic. Charisma is about making others feel your presence, even in your silence. It's the energy that people are drawn to without knowing why. And once you learn how to cultivate that presence, you'll find that people can't help but be captivated by you. It's about showing up as your authentic self, grounded in your own values and confidence. Now that we've uncovered a few key elements of attraction, let's talk about how to apply these Stoic principles in real life. Imagine this: You're in a conversation with someone you want to impress. Instead of trying to dazzle them with your wit or knowledge, you pause. You let silence settle for a moment. They'll wonder what's going through your mind. That intrigue alone will keep them hooked. Then, instead of steering the conversation back to yourself, you ask them thoughtful questions. You show genuine curiosity about their thoughts, their dreams, their struggles. This simple act of listening, of truly being present, will make them obsessed with your presence. They'll start associating you with deep, meaningful conversation, something they might not get elsewhere. As you remain emotionally resilient, unfazed by any attempt to get under your skin, they'll see you as someone who's grounded, someone they can't easily shake. That's the secret. These tactics aren't about manipulation. They're about being so centered in yourself that others can't help but be drawn to you. The ultimate reward of mastering these Stoic traits? You reclaim your power. You no longer feel the need to chase after anyone. Instead, people come to you. They become drawn to the calm, steady presence you embody, to your ability to stay composed, even in the most chaotic moments. When you stop seeking external validation and focus on your internal growth, you become someone others admire. You don't have to ask for attention. It's given to you freely. This is where the real shift happens, when you realize that the power to attract, to captivate, comes from within. It's about who you are, not what you try to project. As you continue to build your inner strength, something fascinating happens. You stop worrying about whether people are obsessed with you or not. The irony is that's when they become even more drawn to you. When you let go of the need to impress, when you focus solely on becoming the best version of yourself, people take notice. Seneca said, "Begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life." That's what this journey is all about. Living fully in the present, building yourself up day by day, and watching as the world around you responds. Inner strength becomes visible, and it's that strength that makes people want to be part of your life. Now, you've mastered these Stoic traits. You've become someone who doesn't seek attention but attracts it effortlessly. But the final step in this journey is sharing what you've learned. There's incredible power in helping others find the same inner peace and strength that you've discovered. I encourage you to share your journey with those around you. Let them see how Stoicism has transformed you. Be the example of what a calm, confident, and resilient person looks like. And as you do, you'll see how your influence grows, not through force, but through presence. This is the ultimate Stoic elixir, the wisdom you gain and the strength you share with others. If this message resonates with you, I invite you to join me on this Stoic journey. Share your experiences in the comments below. What are the things that have helped you reclaim your inner strength? Let's build a community where we lift each other up, where we grow stronger together. And if you haven't yet, subscribe to this channel for more insights on living a Stoic life, filled with purpose, peace, and quiet power.